Anyway, Tina owns and operates the Rockland County Business Journal, RC Biz, B-I-Z Journal, and you talk about business in the county.
Yes, I do, and I'm ready to talk about business today.
All right, so what's the big news? What's the big front page on your website, rcbizjournal.com, this morning?
All right, well, I was going to talk about two things. I was going to talk about, first of all, nationwide, we're up to about 650 cases of the measles.
Right.
And I know that, Ed has recently declared, I think, another emergency.
Correct.
Well, the question we're pondering is, well, what does this mean for employers and people in the workplace? Because there's been a lot of attention paid to this in terms of, schools and certain communities and even what it might look like in public places. But, how are what are employers how are they supposed to navigate this crisis? So we have a piece up today and it's the first of a three-part series that is advice-driven, and that is sort of a legal guide to navigating the measles in the workplace. And it gives employers some suggestions, ranging from everything from, how to potentially use the Family Leave Act to, informing your employees about precautions that they should take, to, letting people go home and heal and get better, to even potentially preparing for legal action. What we do at Rockland County Business Journal is we invite people from the business community who have a voice of authority to contribute 500 to 700 word columns on topics that they are essentially the experts in, but on topics that have universal meaning for the business community to some degree. This series of columns comes to us by way of Brody and Associates, which is a legal firm that deals with labor, employment, and benefits law issues. So, the measles obviously is going to be an ongoing problem, and of course, it's going to be something that employers have to deal with.
Have you spoken to any of the business owners directly about this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been speaking to business people, to see what they think of this, and it's very harrying. I mean, it's a very difficult thing because it's not only the employee, him or herself, it's the kids at home. But
have they given you any indication that they have lost business because of it? Because people are literally afraid to go out to various locations, various businesses in certain locations.
Well, I think we talked about this last week. Yes, I have heard from some people who worry that Rockland County is taking, a bullseye here in terms of reputation, mm-hmm. that it's branding us in a kind of that you can't help. It's going to come to a point where you're not going to help but be able to say Rockland County. Oh yeah, that's the measles outbreak place. So I think yes, I have spoken to some people who affiliate in the tourism and marketing fields, and they feel concerned. They understand the issue. They understand the severity of the the disease. And they understand that, it needs to be dealt with. And if you look at 626 cases nationally, and we're saying that we have 200, that would mean we have 30% of all the cases nationally. So unfortunately, that really does put us right at the center of the crisis. On the other hand, it is important to manage the crisis, I think, without hysteria, and that would be
right. I'm not trying to demean the importance of this whole thing because it's obviously very significant. But thank heavens nobody's passed away because of this,
right.
And theoretically it will level itself out and then diminish as time goes along. And as long as you just follow the dictates of the medical people, for example, the Commissioner of Health here in the county, do what they recommend or what they specify, and this will ultimately go away, and hopefully without any casualties. That's all.
Right. I don't think that we're dealing with the bubonic plague.
No, but you mentioned, and you're right, some people tend to get build up hysterics about it, and that's not going to do anything. It's going to hurt everybody.
I think so too. I think so too. Like, for example, in this column that's been contributed to us by Robert Brody and Catherine Bogart, they talk about using the Family Medical Leave Act. If an employer has somebody at home who's got the measles because of the high contagion rate. They even talk about in this column the employer taking the lead in basically demanding that an employee go home and see out the measles before they come back. And then at the same time, what does make sense, of course, in the workplace is just like anything else, is to take some preemptive measures. So, and the best preemptive measure, of course, is always education. And to, I think, once when you put something out, when you air it out for the employees, it's not taboo. It's not something that somebody might feel like they have to hide or be ashamed of. So if somebody's got a kid home with the measles, let that parent, give that parent some time, so the measles isn't spread in the workplace. In the next column that they're going to contribute, and we can talk about that probably maybe next week, is they're going to talk about vaccinations, accommodations for vaccinations for employers. Employees. And then in the third part, and I'm looking forward to seeing this, they're going to talk about any sort of a retaliation claim and what an employer can do to prevent that. So yeah, I think it's an important issue. I think the more we talk about it in a level, rational way, the better. And I think we have to take the hysteria, and I think we have to take the prejudice out of this to deal with this at a smart level.
Right.
And the other thing I was going to chat about, which I know has a lot of interest, we posted this late last week, is this proposed legislation for municipalities to be able to collect more taxes from the golf courses. I don't know if you guys read that piece that we posted.
Well, Jeff's not in the room right now, but I think
Okay.
we had spoken to Chris Day about it. But go ahead. What have you got?
Yeah, well, I don't think that Blue Hill would be affected by this. The county has, I think the county has 4 private golf courses. So I think that those would be affected. Plus, if Patriot Hills is developed, and if that also turns into a private golf course, although I think they say that it's still going to remain partially open to the public, I'm not sure how it's going to work. But the bottom line is that there is a pending legislation that looks like it's on track to sail along, partly written by Carlucci, that would allow municipalities to assess golf courses and clubs in New York based on the property's highest and best use rather than its current use. And the bill has already passed through the Assembly Real Property Tax Committee, so it does look like it's on its way. And I know that there's some some noise out there about this pending bill because what they say on the business side, of course, is that you raise the taxes on the golf courses, that raises the fees, and it's ultimately going to put the golf courses out of business if it becomes too expensive to do business in the state.
Are you talking? I didn't know the county owned golf courses. I know each individual town, except for
Yeah.
one of them owns has. Does Clarkstown? I don't think Clarkstown has a golf course.
Clarkstown has one golf course which is private.
Right.
There's one in Spark Hill, West Nyack, Pomona, and Spring Valley. There appear to be 4 private golf courses. Patriot Hills is the town of.
It's owned by the town, yeah. As is Rotella and Haverstraw.
And
Ramapo's got Spook Rock.
right, and Blue Hill.
Orangetown's got 2 of them.
Right. So, but the one in Stony Point, Patriot Hills.
Yeah.
That's the one that Raj Amar is trying to buy and develop as a hotel.
Right, exactly.
So, again, I don't know if what the arrangement would be there, but if that becomes a private golf course, then that too would fall under this new law. So this is something to watch because even though this went down under the Republican legislature with the Democrats in power now in Albany, this one may gain some steam, and it's got David Carlucci's endorsement. So we will see.
You got to keep watching it for us, and if anybody would like to read, it's up to the minute. I mean, these articles are posted all the time because you're an internet service, and you don't have to worry about the paper coming out once a week or whatever. You go to
RC Biz Journal.
RCBiz, B-I-Z Journal.com, and there it is right in front of you. Tina, thanks. We'll talk to you again next week.
See you soon. Bye.
All right.